Welcome to Thursday Night Talk. This is a show where we discuss the week in Humboldt, the local issues, and the local personalities. I'm Talvi Freed, and I'll be your local host for the next hour. Did you know about the animal shelter crisis in Humboldt County and the rest of the state and pretty much the country going on right now? How bad is the situation for animals, animal shelters, and rescue shelters in Humboldt County and beyond? Are we, as a society, capable of being reasonable and responsible animal owners? Why do people take on animals they cannot care for or allow them to reproduce without considering the consequences? And what can we do to help? And are all this surge of animals that are being seen in shelters right now, are they because of the pandemic? Did people get animals and now they're like, I have to go back to work? Too bad. Is it an economic issue? Well, let's talk to our guest. We've got Andre Hale from the Animal Control Facilities Manager, or who is the Animal Control Facilities Manager for the County of Humboldt. We've got Kim Klass from the Companion Animal Foundation and Kari Crockett, Executive Director for Humboldt Spay and Neuter Clinic. Welcome, everyone.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Yes, of course. I'm glad to be discussing this. I love animals. I've got my dog next to me, and usually have at least one animal around me at some point. They're family to me. Animals are really, truly family to me. So I feel like this is a very important issue going on. And I just kind of, especially Andre, I want to ask about the county shelter right now, because I feel like that's a lot of people want their animals to go to Sequoia or somewhere else because the county has almost this reputation that's a little different. And what are you seeing with the county shelter right now?
We're full. And no matter what we do to get space through adoptions, through fostering, through transfers to other places, those spots that we open up are filled within a day or two. And we have to pick up and do it all over again and are running out of places for these animals to go.
Where do the animals come from?
The majority of what we get are brought in as strays. They were reported as being found as strays. So they are brought in typically with no owner known. I hold them for a holding period. No owner comes forward, and then I evaluate them and put them up for adoption if I can.
And they're checked for chips and everything.
Yeah, they're scanned for chips. Their photos are taken generally within an hour of them coming into us and posted online. It's posted for dogs primarily. The dogs are posted on Humboldt Paws Cause as well, just to try and get cross posting out there to try and identify owners. But there's been more than one occasion where we did manage to identify the owner, but they didn't come and get their dog.
Why do you think people wouldn't come get their dog?
No, some of them is because they're having financial stresses right now. It's is one of the biggest excuses I've heard is that I can't afford it. And not that they can't afford the impound fees, because we do have some agencies that we work with that might help them with their impound fees, but it's that they just can't afford to have the dog.
What happens to an animal if they, like, how long do they stay there?
So the holding period is 4 business days, not including the day that they come in. So that period is trying to get them reunited with the owner. After that, if we evaluate let's say we're talking about dogs, but I have cats too. If we evaluate the dog and we find it to meet our criteria for adoption, it's put up for adoption, and it stays up for adoption for as long as it's happy and healthy and friendly. If it starts to develop some behavioral issues, we'll try and work with that. If the behavioral issues become severe to the point that it no longer meets the criteria for being adoptable through us, then we'll reach out to rescue groups to see if they might be able to take it on. And if they're not, then it would be euthanized.
So all three of you have dealt with animals in long-term confinement, I'm assuming here. Was it Kari who I can't remember if it was Kari or Kim who was speaking about a cat that you had since you were a kitten? It was that they were a kitten?
Yeah, that's me, Kim, from Companion Animal Foundation. Yes, we're definitely seeing something unusual this year. And because we primarily deal with cats, I can't say it's people that got cats through COVID and now they're surrendering them. We're just seeing, I think a lot of what's going on is economic, is what I keep coming back to is, I was just at what was supposed to be a relatively affordable animal place yesterday, and I think I was out loud gasping as I was walking down the aisles, to see a bag of dog food for $60 or $70. This translates to something very real for people, and it's really hard. We had somebody, I wasn't there, unfortunately, we were closed, but somebody was walking by Companion Animal, and somebody pulled up and he had a Great Dane and another dog in his car, and he said, I need you to take them. I can't afford to feed them anymore. And that's heartbreaking. I mean, the litter of puppies that we just placed into wonderful homes, actually all over the United States, as far away as Juneau, Alaska. The mom was feeding them rice and bread, and we might raise our eyebrows at that, but it's really sometimes the best that people can do. I think, setting judgment aside, I can't get mad at somebody for doing the best that they can do. And, personally, I think some of the foods are better than pet foods, but that's just me, I mean, if you're houseless, it's hard to carry around big bags of food. There are wonderful groups out there, Redwood Pals Rescue and others, that are out taking food out. We're just now ordering a bunch of winter coats and dog food and stuff that we're going to take out and around because it's expensive. I mean, it is really a whole different scene out there. Our cost to run Companion Animal, we just picked up an order yesterday. It was $1,006 for pet food and litter. That same order pre-COVID would have probably been $600, maybe. I know Kari's run across the same issues just buying, her anesthesias and things. It is a very real scenario. And I think it's really making people think twice about bringing another family member into their homes. I mean, this is a long conversation. I mean, looking at it's critical for us doing this work to look at the reasons why animals come into animal control, to know those statistics so that we know where, to invest our time. And, some of the statistics I've read are just, animals are behaving badly. So what is our job? What is my job when I'm doing adoptions? I can tell you what my job is I spend a lot of time with people. When they're getting a dog from me, the entire household has to come in. I sit and talk with them. You can ask any one of my adopters for about 45 minutes to an hour. Maybe they can't afford to do that at animal control. I don't know. But I feel like I need to invest every adopter has my cell phone number, any animal issues. Immediately I have a wonderful local dog trainer that I send people to, because a lot of people, to me, they get, it's like, there's so many statistics out there. Why are people getting animals and why are they surrendering them? Those are great questions, and there's a lot of different answers for them. But I do feel like this situation we're in right now, to go back to your question, Talvi, is really, it's interesting, to see. Now, we did just have a bunch of adoptions and a lot of our puppies are going, and some of our kitties are finally moving. But what's happening is typically this time of year, my gosh, it's snowing out. Typically this time of year, I I might have a few animals at our center. I actually was able to close last year, close down, clean out the place. There were no kittens anywhere, right? And for a short time, I didn't take dogs, and we do a lot of kittens. And not this year. This year, I've got kittens all over the place, and I've got more coming in. We just took one from Humboldt Spay Neuter Clinic yesterday.
Yep.
You know, a lovely little orange boy whose name is Tater Tot, by the way, Kari. So we're still seeing this. And I know just hearing Andre say, my gosh, there's a space given up and more coming in. You know, I'm curious at why people are bringing them in. That's where we need to focus. If they're bringing them in because dogs are misbehaving, then maybe we need to offer affordable dog training classes. If they're, you know, bringing them in because there's so many litters at the house, then that needs to be addressed. You know, because we have to address these issues. This is what we do.
I am curious about, because if there are more animals, then more animals need to be getting spayed and neutered. So is that actually occurring? Because it's not, I mean, are you busier as well?
Yes. So right now, we are working on expanding to an additional veterinarian, and that's in the works. It's a slow process. It's a lot of red tape. But right now, we are booking out female cats clear to mid-April because we are so swamped. And we are booking dogs out to June. Now that's, you know, there's this veterinary crisis right now. There's not enough veterinarians. And then if you add on to there, the cost, even our cost, you know, is like for a dog is anywhere from $215 to $345. And then they can get vouchers to go with that most generally pay up to 80% of that. So it really brings the cost down. However, if you walk into that same $345 and you walk into another vet, you're looking at, you know, for a for-profit that doesn't have the grants, you're looking at $1,000. Once again, you talk about a $60 bag of dog food, try to pay $1,000 for a spay, you know, for your dog. We're seeing that. So as the economy gets worse and the cost gets worse and all of that, we get busier because that's what we're here for, is to help the community. So we're doing everything in our power to try to help fill in that gap. And, you know, our mission is to have every animal in Humboldt County and surrounding counties spayed and neutered. That's a dream. That's a vision. That's what we would love to see happen eventually.
How does it work for low income? Like, what can a low income person do? They just get on the list, wait, you know, say I got a kitten today with, I can't take any more animals, but I would love to. Would I immediately be like, okay, I have this kitten that I know, I was like, I want Tater Tot. Haven't even seen the cat, but I want them. So you get an animal, be it a puppy or a kitten, and you just immediately go on the list, because by the time their turn rolls up, they'll be old enough to have the procedure.
Absolutely. We'd have you book your appointment with us, and we take a deposit from you to make sure that you're really going to come in, because there's so few available. And then we also put you on a wait list, because we do have no shows and we do have cancellations and things happen. And so then we can bump you up earlier if possible. But we do have you do that. We do suggest you do it as soon as you get that puppy or kitten and get on that list. And I'd like to point out that we are there for everyone, not just the low income people, so that, you know, I personally feel a lot our middle class people get overlooked there too, that, you know, we're there for everyone, anybody in the community. We do offer wellness and basic illness care for low income people. So we do have that service as well, but that is reserved more for income qualifying people. But we definitely say, give us a call. We have all of the references to all the places that help with vouchers. And in between them and us, we can help get it to a price you can afford. And so we collaborate and work together really, really well. It's just, it's just a wait right now. And we are hoping that eventually we'll be able to alleviate that long wait. So,
and Talvi, I would like to say too, is that, you know, if people want an animal and they're concerned about this spaying and neutering, adoption is a great option. We have, you know, Andre has lots of animals available up at Animal Control, Companion Animal Foundation, Sequoia Humane. There are a lot of amazing animal places here. And the kittens that you get from us will be, you know, spayed or neutered, leukemia and AIDS tested, you know, they've had their first vaccines. We run fecals. We, you know, everybody's giving microchips with lifetime registration. You know, they usually come with flea meds and little gifts and things like that. And then you have, I don't know how they do it, but places like Humboldt Pet Supply that are really like giving out between $75 to over $100 worth of free items to new adopters. I mean, that is huge. You know, you can get a little down about what's happening, and then you see like so much beauty, like, you know, Humboldt Spay Neuter Clinic is adding on veterinarians, and places are giving things to people. You know, there's beauty out there too. This is a hard time we're in, but when we go back to just, you know, spaying and neutering is relatively new since the 1960s, if you can believe it. There wasn't, you know, they were just rounding up animals and doing, we won't say some, you know, whatever with them. And the very first spay neuter clinics started cropping up in the 60s, and then the 70s they gained momentum. But I will just say, like, I have some statistics here. In 1985, 3 years after I graduated from high school, you know, I'll tell you, between 10 to 17 million dogs, and I'll talk about why the statistics are so skewed, and 18 to 13 million cats were euthanized. You know, that's between, 18 to 30 million animals in 1 year, 1 year. And, you know, statistics are very hard to come by when it comes to animals. So that's why looking at all this, it's a little tough, because you've got shelters like mine. I'm not asked to give statistics. We've got great statistics. We could probably balance out maybe somebody that doesn't have great statistics. I'm sure Sequoia's got great statistics. Right now, they are starting to see a greater need than just looking at the, you know, the county shelters and things like that, and looking at the, you know, more statistics. There's some really neat organizations that are doing this right now.
I feel like a couple of years ago, you couldn't adopt an animal though. Like during the pandemic, during the midst of the pandemic, you could not find an animal because everyone was adopting them. So I find it difficult to believe that the pandemic and the pandemic ending doesn't have something to do with that. People going back to work, or they're not making that extra money that they were making because of subsidies given by the government. Like, I'm just...
The most recent statistics that I've read is there are no more people surrendering their animals. It is the sluggishness. Animals are staying in shelters longer. I know that doesn't seem right, but it really is everything that I've read. Andre, maybe you are experiencing something else, but I do feel like our times in the shelter, it's taking longer. There's not quite as many people coming in. I do not feel that, I don't feel like any more people are surrendering than they were a couple years ago. And you're right about the pandemic. It is true. I do think probably some people have surrendered their animals afterwards. I'm sure we can find stories on that. I'm not saying it's not true. I mean, at one point during the pandemic, it was so ridiculous that I was starting to hear people saying, breed your dogs. My God, there's not enough dogs. You know, I had a talk with another person who is one of the bigger spay neuter people in Humboldt County, and she was like, can you believe they're actually saying let your dogs have a litter? And I was like,
yeah, that's wild.
So I have a slightly different opinion. So what I believe, like I said earlier, that I think that the economic factor is definitely there, because we see that over and over and over again. Anytime economics is an issue, we see more animals, less adoptions, that type of stuff. But in 2022, we took in almost 100 more puppies than we did the year before, and still even more than we did in 2019. The last time that we had a number that was as close as what we had in 2022 was in 2017. So there were more puppies born, more kittens born. And I think part of that was because of the impacts in the veterinary services.
Exactly.
Spays and neuters couldn't happen for a period of time. Then everything got backlogged, and people were thinking, maybe I should breed my puppy or my dog, because everybody wants a puppy and I'll be able to sell it. So I think there was a lot of those factors into it. We've had more boxes of puppies show up that were bound somewhere than we've had in the past several years. The last, like I said, we took in 224 puppies in 2022.
And I want to hug each and every one of them. We're going to take a really quick break, and we will be right back. You're listening to KZZH. This is Thursday Night Talk. Welcome back, everyone. This is Thursday Night Talk. You're listening to KZZH. I'm here with Andre Hale, Kim Klass, and Kari Crockett, and we are discussing the situation about all the fur babies in Humboldt County, and not just fur babies. Apparently, there's a goat that's up for adoption.
Yeah, we have a goat available for adoption. If anybody knows anybody that wants a billy goat,
can I borrow it just for my lawn?
He can't be fostered out.
Oh, I just want a goat for a minute. I don't think I could. I don't think I should have a goat. I would love a goat, but I don't think I have enough space for a goat. But there's a goat. Are there other animals too? Not to completely derail the conversation, but
not at the moment. I have cats, dogs, and a goat.
How'd you get the goat?
Found as a stray.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody wanted him back, so nobody called us about him, I guess.
Right before the break, we were talking about I feel like there's a difference between each group and what everybody is seeing, the humane societies and kind of like I always feel like that's a fancier version of the county shelter, because a neighbor of mine had their dogs taken away, and they were also taken away, and they're no longer my neighbor, and neither are the dogs, though it was a very sad situation and the whole neighborhood was concerned. Though I'm wondering if maybe like the drug epidemic that's coming in because of like the fentanyl issues is also at play, the massive mental illness that's coming into play, where people maybe were a little bit healthier for a minute there, and then I feel like the animals that get taken away are taken to the county, and therefore you see animals with a lot more issues. And I'm not sure if you want to comment on that, Andre.
You mentioned this kind of a little bit earlier. We do have a reputation that is actually not earned. People think we're a kill shelter, which, I won't say that we're not, because it gives the wrong information. When people hear no kill shelter, they think no euthanasia ever, and that is impossible. We're an animal shelter, an animal control agency that picks up dogs hit by a car, and they're alive when we get them, and they have to be euthanized because they're suffering and there's nothing we can do to help them. I had a puppy the other day that was very sick when we got it, and it had to be euthanized because it was suffering. And so we do everything we can to help everything that comes into us, but sometimes there's things that we cannot do. We only euthanize for behavioral or medical issues that cannot be corrected. So we do fit in the not a euthanizing an adoptable animal. So we don't do that. We do everything we can to not do that. And one of the statistics I'm very proud of is that our euthanasia rate on dogs has been less than 5% for many years.
Right.
And so that's less than 5% of the animals that leave our shelter are outcomes by euthanasia. And that's including the ones that were injured and euthanized at the vet, because if it has an ID record for here, then it counts in my numbers. So I don't exclude any of those types of euthanasias. For cats, we've been working on reducing the number of euthanasias. It was 10% last year of the cats were euthanized.
Is that because of the feline AIDS issue?
It is actually ferals was the biggest thing. And then I know Kim's seen this a few times. I will get the oldest, scrawniest, weakest, roughest looking cat. And sometimes, like they have no muscle tone left. Their internal organs aren't working properly. They're just a mess. And I let those go. I mean, I don't have enough places of, people to take in these senior kitties that need sub-Q fluids and special food and all those types of things. So sometimes we have to let them go.
I've taken a few of them.
Yes,
and
yes.
I have to tell you, the one I got, Granny, was a little over 4 pounds, and I thought she would live maybe 2 weeks. It's going to be a little hard for me to talk about her. That she lived 2 weeks and then 2 more. Next thing I knew, she was alive 2 months later. And that cat lived almost another year and brought me more joy than I can even begin to describe. And, back when I wasn't racing around as much as I am right now, I wanted to get a trailer to put senior cats in and really teach people how to care for them. I think the one thing with animals is we can all identify, right? I mean, we're all getting older, right? And how is it that we envision our last part in the world? And Granny got to pass in my home, surrounded by candlelight and tears and love, and that made me feel good. But this puts, I always tell people I love our shelter. I really see such a great group around everybody up there. Andre tries really hard to reach out to our groups. There are some amazing people up there that really try and help feral cats so that they're not euthanized. But I mean, we're talking about all these things after the fact. There are things preceding a cat becoming feral, and I don't know. I think we could talk for hours and hours and hours about all this. I just want to put a plea out there for senior animals, not just for them, for me, for Andra. It is, even with all their issues, the joy that Granny brought to my household and to me. Her picture crops up all the time on my digital frame, as those pictures come through, and my heart just catches, because that one part of my life, I got to share it with her,
Are there resources for somebody who adopts a senior animal?
Oh, I'll help them if I can.
So,
I think everybody
get fluids.
Could.
So resources as far as helping with medical care, like Kim said, she would help with what she could. But for us, we do reduced cost adoption. So regardless of what I had to spend on that cat, doing blood work, doing whatever, or dog, if they're aged 7 years or older, it's only $35 to adopt a cat, and $50 for the dog.
Nice. And also we now with our medical, once again, Humboldt Spay Neuter can help with that too. If somebody's adopting a senior animal, we do a lot of senior panels, blood panels to see what they need and do prescribing and helping. And Dr. Ott is amazing. She's into really the educational part for people. So that we're so happy that we've just begun that we can now offer that maybe we'll also be able to help at such a reduced, it's $40 for an exam, to come in, and everything is just barely above cost just to make it so that we can afford to continue to do this because we are nonprofit. So, please just give us a call if you have that. We would rather you do that than surrender your animal to animal control if we can help in some ways.
I wanted to ask, because it seems like you guys all do work together, though. Can you let people know how you guys all work together?
Oh yeah. I think often we do. We refer people to each other all the time, and we do, especially the rescue groups and us. I feel we really work closely together. We always call ourselves the halfway house. We don't have room at the clinic to be a rescue organization that houses animals for a long time. We can have one or two. We've had some that were one or two that we've had for 1 or 2 years, before they were adopted out. However, what we'll do is people surrender kittens to us. We get them healthy. A lot of these come in that are not healthy. We do their treatments. We get them healthy. We do their vaccines. We get them spayed and neutered. And during that period of time where we're housing them, I have them on a list waiting for them to go to a rescue. So then they go to a rescue. Usually we only have them for a couple weeks, maybe a month, but we're able to do that. And that's kind of our way of helping out that way and making sure they get into that rescue so that they can then be adopted out because they have the means to be able to take and find the right adopters and do all the steps for that, where we just are way limited with the medical side we're doing already.
I think it's really critical that we all build each other up. That's really important to me. Sometimes you're right, Andre. I think it is hard to run the shelter because, people view a shelter, understandably, in general, as a place of euthanasia, final place, a painful place to go. But I think it's our job as rescues to go, oh no. The people there are so lovely. The front office staff, if you walk in there, I adore them. They're all really good people. And, and I always say to people, hey, wait a minute. Nobody wants to euthanize animals here. And I said, and the shelter does everything they can so that they don't have to do that. They've got I've been saying, a great team of people that volunteer there and work there. So I think it really is our job as rescues to, build each other up, as often as we can to help each other out. I know when we get our vouchers, I love to give them away to other groups that maybe don't have them, and they can pass them out to who they want to. So, it's trying to find small, meaningful ways to work together to help out. I may not go up to the shelter a lot and pull out animals lately, but it's only because I'm trying to stop them from coming in. I'm trying to do my share, but I'm also, what I say to people, it's really important to me for people to get the animal that is so important to them. This is why we don't typically do gifts, because a gift to me is a prearranged marriage, you know? I mean, how about if I gift you your husband or your wife, you know? Well, no thanks, right? I mean, it's the same with an animal. It takes, for many people, it takes us really falling in love, you know? I mean, that's what gets us cleaning those cat litter boxes and all that kind of stuff, and going out and buying that really good quality food while their brains are developing, right? So I always say to people, they'll look around, I'll say, listen, if you don't find an animal that you like here, there's lots of amazing animal groups. You don't have to get one. I say that all the time. I'm hearing the other volunteers and everybody saying that. Like, I want people to really be happy with the animal they get so that they don't surrender it, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know where they're going to find love at. It could be at it could be at Sequoia, it could be with Sierra Pacific Fur Babies, it could be at Animal Control. How do I know? You know, I don't know what, you know, exactly what people are looking for, who they fall in love with. So yeah, I want to build us all up.
Andre, I wanted to ask how the foster system works with the county shelter.
So that's something that's been happening a lot more lately, because you know, they're not leaving the shelter as fast, and I have more and more animals coming in. So historically, we've done fostering for medical reasons. You know, a dog that needs surgery, a cat needs surgery, dogs needing heartworm treatment, all of that. But right now, because we are so full, we have several of our adoptable dogs that are in foster homes, where we're able to learn a little bit more about their behaviors. Do they do well doing this or that? You know, kind of gets us to know a little bit more about them, because it's hard to learn about them as a stray when they're brought into the shelter and surrounded by a bunch of barking dogs. So that's been fabulous. Really, as far as how it works is, we've been operating still on the appointment basis with our dogs and cats. And we found that that is really beneficial, especially for the dogs. You know, we have 52 dog kennels, and having strangers walking through their kennels was very stressful for them. And I see it every time that I take a new person back there, because I've had doing tours to, you know, different members of the government. You know, I had somebody from the Board of Supervisors up here the other day, and I did a tour with her, and the dogs definitely reacted to there being a stranger that they haven't seen before. So it's nice to not have the public walking through. It has had its negative impacts in that people don't want to pick off of a picture and a story. So we've been working on trying to get some more videos and all that, and having the dogs and fosters helping with that. But a person that might be interested in fostering with us, they would fill out our adoption application, because it is the same information. We want the very same information. So we just have them fill that out and just put in the notes that they want to foster. And then we would be speaking with them about what they might be interested in fostering, you know, dog or, you know, cat for medical reasons, you know, puppies, kittens, because we're going to be coming into kitten season again with bottle babies and all of that. Nobody's looking forward to it. No. But if you take an adoptable dog into foster, one of the things you're agreeing to is that you'll bring that dog to an appointment to meet a potential adopter. So we try and make sure that we give at least 24 hours notice for any of those appointments when we're scheduling them, and try and work with that foster parent and potential adopter to find a good time for both to show up. If the person likes the dog, which happened today, then the adopter can adopt the dog, and we transfer the dog from, you know, the foster into the adoptive home, and they're welcome to take on a new foster if they wish, or take a break, or you know, it definitely helps. Like I said, learning, you know, more about the dog and what type of home he would fit best in, and getting some of those pictures of them out doing things in the community is also, you know, it's better than, you know, the same old play yard here. And that's, you know.
If someone were to foster, do you cover the medical costs for say the senior cats or a cat issue or a dog with an issue?
Yeah, so we have a cat that's in foster right now. His name is Cosmo. He had been hit by a car before he came to us and may or may not need to have his leg amputated. So we're paying for his vet visits to be seen to determine his recovery. And if he needs his leg amputated, it will be paid for by us. The only thing that I would say typically that I would question paying for is if a person did something inappropriate which resulted in an injury. So it wasn't something that I sent the dog to them with. They did something wrong which resulted in an injury. I, you know, would be speaking with them a bit more about paying for anything that was resulting from that.
I hope you'd be talking to them a lot if the dog ended up injured somehow. We are going to take another break, though. If anybody listening wants to call in and talk to any of our panelists or to me or to just make a statement, the phone number is 669-900-6833. That's 669-900-6833. You're going to need a meeting ID number to join, 511-886-8501. Phone number to call, 669-900-6833. And to join, 511-886-8501. This is KZZH and Thursday Night Talk. Be right back. Welcome back to Thursday Night Talk. I'm your local host, Talvi Freed. I'm here with Kari Crockett, Kim Klass, and Andre Hale. We are discussing the animal shelter crisis happening in Humboldt County right now, and we're not even in kitten season. I heard Andre mention kitten season, I believe, and that's wild to me that every shelter is full, and kitten season's like 2 months away. And I shouldn't look forward to it every year, but it's really cute. And I mean, that's kind of how we ended up in this issue is everyone's like, they're so cute and cuddly. Though we've discussed it for those just joining. We have discussed quite a bit and what's going on. Though I want to know, let's switch because we have about 20 minutes left of the show. So I kind of want to switch over to the financials of the situation. And let's start with Kari, because you deal with the medical realm. How is it even affordable for a group to be able to spay and neuter and give medical attention to so many animals right now?
It's very tough. I just had my budget meeting today. It's very tough. We really strive this year to not raise prices. As we've seen that happen everywhere. It's really tough. We are doing tons of fundraisers. We've never really done a lot of fundraisers. We've done a lot of grant writing and stuff. This year, I am pumping away at as many grants as I can. I am fundraising, and thank goodness for the community. If we didn't have the community and the wonderful donations that they make to us, they make them to our feral fund so that we can offer low to free costs for all those feral spay and neuters. They get a whole package, you know, they get their vaccines and everything, you know, and their parasite control and stuff. So they get all of that. But we still have to come up with the money for it. So, you know, we have grant funds, and that grant funds pay a certain amount, but then there's that gap that doesn't get covered. That's where our community and our donations come in. So the only way we do it is really with the support of our community all around. So, and the voucher programs, they help us immensely.
So what is the voucher program? I've heard that mentioned a few times, so I'm not exactly sure what it actually is.
Sure. So we go to all of them, and Kim would have a lot of information about it, but a lot of the different organizations have vouchers that they can assist with, that they get grant funding for. The majority of these, different ones set different prices, but the majority pay up to 80%. None of them, it's very seldom it covers more than that, but they're able to do that. We have the phone numbers to the places. We can refer people to them. We kind of do a kind of feel them out. What can you afford? What can this? And then we refer them to the people. They also do their own interview kind of with them. They come up with what they're going to put on their voucher. When they do that voucher, it comes to us. It's used to reduce that cost of down to whatever the voucher doesn't cost. It's either the copay from the person who came in, or if I've already worked with them, they have to work directly with me to get it lower than that. Sometimes people just can't do it. One of the main questions I ask is, what can you afford? This is especially these people that have 12 cats because they had a pair of kittens, a male and a female, and oops, now they've had 2 litters of kittens from them, and they've had and all of a sudden they have 12. Well, obviously, telling them it's $95 a cat and you're going to pay $1,200 is not going to happen. So that's where we can step in. We rely on those vouchers, and then we step in for whatever we can above that to get it to affordable.
Who's paying for the vouchers then?
The vouchers are typically we all write grants. Like we just got 2 different grants for spay neuter funding, and we take that and make vouchers with them. And when people come in, people can come in anytime we're open and get a voucher. They just need to be on, we ask people to be on a limited income. The question we used to ask is, what would you do if the vouchers weren't here? Oh, I'd just pay for it. And I would say, well, if I ran the world, spaying and neutering would be free and all this kind of stuff, but I don't run the world, and resources are limited. But anybody that comes in, and we get the darn sweetest people that walk through the doors. It's incredible. And we get a lot of referrals from Humboldt Spay Neuter Clinic too. And, typically, you just get a sense if somebody comes in and we say, well, your co-payment for this is going to be $20 or $30 or $35. Can you do that? And you can see if people really bulk. I feel like people are, for the most part, really quite honest. And it just gives us an idea of where we need to step in, because I would rather, if I have to, I'd rather pay it all than let that animal have a litter of puppies or kittens. Kari feels the same way. I know Andre's not going to argue with this, because it's cheaper to put out some extra money that maybe you don't even have in grant money that you have to raise through donations or whatever, than it is to take in a litter of puppies or kittens. I mean, it's just, the math is just right there. It's either take care of this up front or take care of it in the back, where you've got a lot of animals, expensive food, medical care, and all these different things that you have to do for the animals.
So can I take it that you also are mostly run on grants and fundraising?
Absolutely. It is the only way that we're run right now. We used to have a thrift store. I'm actually looking to open a cat cafe right now, which will help. But
I'll be your barista. I just want to
Okay. We'll talk afterwards.
Okay.
I'll bring that up when we have a moment. But, I did want to, I hope you don't mind if I backtrack, because I feel like people need some ideas on ways that they can help. And it is by donating. Kari, has the amazing Feral Cat Fund. I feel like we're living on donations really lately. We really are. But there's other ways people can help. If you go to the grocery store or even grocery outlet, buy a little bag of quality food, set it aside. Next time you go, buy a couple cans. and then let that build up and then take it into your favorite rescue. We have a lady on Fridays. She does that. She brings us in food. I cannot tell you. It seems odd that these few little bags of food, she has saved our tushies, a few times. It has been so helpful. And the other thing that we have too is we have people that come and actually pick up our dogs and take them to our puppies, and now we get to know them. They fill out a form for us. We get their information, and then they come by, and we had 2 nurses. They would come and take our puppies to the beach and the dog park and give them like real world experiences. I mean, our puppies are fantastic by the time they go home. And plus we work really closely with people, but it's because of this community that I just don't want people to get burned out or feel overwhelmed or whatever, and because animals, and especially dogs, are staying a little bit longer, right? It is important to come in. Our adoption rooms are open so people can come in. You bring in a photo ID and you can sit with our kitties, and, it makes it so much nicer for those ones that are there for longer periods to have all that human interaction, and we have toys to play with. And
that is my worry with animals staying in the shelter for so long, is that neurosis can be created even if it wasn't there to begin with. The more an animal or human or any creature is isolated,
right,
the more behavioral issues they can get. So
it's
I
true.
like the idea of people coming and taking them out. Though I want to ask Andre about the shelter is ran by the county. And I'm sure it's a very, very, very small slice. I know there was not getting personnel problems for a couple of years there. There wasn't animal control for a while.
Oh, we've always had animal control. We've been short on animal control.
Yeah.
I've been trying to hire an animal care attendant. Going to be doing interviews for that right here pretty soon. I just hired a new ACO. So he's in the training program now. So I'm fully staffed with my animal control officers, short staffed with my animal care attendants. So the animal control officers are being pulled from the field to help in the shelter itself, because our first priority is the animals that we have in care. So yeah, we're county run. So the vouchers that they were talking about, that is something we refer people to them for, because we're government, we don't have vouchers. But we also have our emergency medical fund, which is managed by Friends for Life and pays for things like I mentioned earlier, the heartworm treatment, the potential amputation on that cat's leg. And that is 100% donation based from the members of our community. So that is a way to help out if you wanted to donate. But we're looking at a not very great 23-24 budget year. So having a higher number of animals with more spay and neuter services being performed and those types of things going on, it is going to be a little rough.
I think also another thing that when Kim brought it up of what people can do, we also are, I think now with the pandemic looking like it's a little behind us, we are now opening up for volunteers as well. And I think that's something that people don't think about, how much that can help us by freeing up our time to be able to do other things. And we also have had some amazing community members. We had a community member have a bake sale in Miranda. They brought us in $1,400. We didn't ask them to do that. They did it on their own out of the goodness of their heart, because we had helped with some animals down there, and they did it. We had another community member that did a Facebook birthday wish thing, brought us in $775. Those are things that people can do that they're not, because we can't always, people don't always have the monetary stuff to just give that, or to do. And so there are ways that you can help whatever organization you want, because no matter which one you help, you're helping us all as a whole. So
how far does that money go? If say like $1,000 donation, how far does that go for you?
for me,
for the animals.
So for the animals, if we're able to use our grant funds, then if we specifically put it towards cats, we say that we need to take $25 per cat, is what we need to take out of that. So you can see how many, that can really help. I mean, and granted, we do fund a lot more than that $25, but it does help a lot. That's how I figure out how many animals we can help in general, because that makes the average kind of out for those that we pay more for.
So we are at the round robin time, which is when everybody has about 3 minutes to discuss whatever you want. If you have fundraisers that are happening, if you have any words of wisdom you want to impart on our listeners. So Kari, let's start with you. Anything you want the audience to know, anything going on, also ways that people can contact you.
Absolutely. So we are Humboldt Spay and Neuter Network. We run Humboldt Spay and Neuter Clinic in Eureka. Please give us a call at 707-442-7729. You'll reach our office. We can answer any questions. They'll also refer you directly to myself. If you go to our website at spayhumboldt.org, that has all of my contact information as well as all the things that we offer. So that's really helpful there. We do have a great fundraiser coming up. We are going to be doing a Beat the Heat Bingo Bash May 20th at the Eureka Women's Club. Come have some fun with bingo, concessions, of course, beer and wine will be there. Come and help us raise money. All that money, 100% of those proceeds are going to go to our community cat fund. So by all means, come and help us with that. That's our very next fundraiser.
And then are you the one with the kitten room? I've heard this mystical, magical place called a kitten room exists in Humboldt County, and I haven't found it yet.
Well, that's now going to be Kim. We had this magical kitten room, but when we expanded, we actually tore down everything and handed it over to Kim for, because we needed it for an exam room. So.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Andre, anything you want listeners or those watching this on YouTube or on Channel 12 to know?
Yeah, if you're interested in having your pet spayed or neutered, there's the Humboldt Spay Neuter Network, there's Companion Animal Foundation, Sequoia Humane Society, Hum Dogs, all kinds of places to get vouchers to help. If you need those phone numbers, you're welcome to call us here at the animal shelter to get the information. Our number is 707-840-9132. We have a lot of really good dogs and cats available for adoption, and a goat. If anybody's interested, you can view our adoptable animals by going to 24, that's the number 24, petconnect.com. Put in the McKinleyville zip code, which is 95519, so that you can filter to our animal shelter. You can look at adoptable dogs and adoptable cats. Make sure that you switch it to adopt a pet, because we also are a stray animal facility. So it starts you off on, I lost my pet. If you're missing your pet, that's the same site you want to go to, including cats, because our return to owner rate on cats is horrendous. We get cats in here that we know belong to people and nobody comes looking for them. Or sometimes they come a month after we got the cat and already adopted it out, and we don't even remember that we had it. So microchip your pet and have it registered, because that's the biggest, easiest way for us to get that animal reunited to its owner. We scan everybody that comes to us if we're able to get close enough to scan it. So, we scan them, try and reach out to an owner. One of their biggest frustrations is microchips that are present but are not registered, or the information is not current, and then it does no good. It's like, having your old contact info, on your emergency contact list, and nobody has that same phone number anymore. It just doesn't work. So the biggest thing with us with the microchips is registering them. Trying to remember what else I was going to say. Biggest thing, if you're interested in adopting, come and see us, come and see Kim and the Companion Animal Foundation, the Humane Society, Miranda's Rescue. There's lots of places to look for new pets, and we'll try our best to help you find one. If you're interested in fostering, give us a call and we'll let you know how that works too.
And definitely don't overlook the older animals.
No.
They definitely are very, very rewarding creatures to have around, or friends to have around. They're friends to me. They're family. So I got my dog right next to me. He's my baby. Is there an animal in the shelter right now, or a dog that you think needs to be adopted quickly because you're just so in love with them that you might take them home if somebody else doesn't?
I have over quite a few years, I've developed a pretty good ability to refuse myself. I know what my limitations are, and so I've not been tempted lately, but okay. It could happen. We do have some really fabulous dogs. That one in particular that I can think of that is looking for a foster home. Her name is Tilly. She's a German Shepherd, maybe Malinois mix. She has hip dysplasia at only 10 months old and needs to have surgery. And I actually had to cancel her surgery, which was scheduled for tomorrow, because I haven't been able to find a foster home to put her into so that she can have the surgery. She cannot stay here and have that surgery done because she needs to be kept in a small crate confinement right after the surgery so that she's allowed to heal. And it's just something that cannot happen here. So if anybody might be interested in fostering Tilly, she needs a foster so she can have her surgery so that she can go to a new home.
Well, thank you so much. Kim, we've got a couple minutes just for you. Anything you want everyone to know?
Oh, I have too many things. On this March 11th at the Veterans Hall, where Ragdoll Review is doing a burlesque show for us. We'll say what we can say on the radio. We'll call it Tatas for Kitties. It should be a tremendous amount of fun. Ginny Noggle is just a hoot. What a great group of gals. This summer, starting at the end of June, Companion Animal Foundation, we have 18 acres of land up on Azalea, McKinleyville, and we run an incredible humane education summer program for youth. There's a special program for 8 to 10-year-olds and 11 to 15-year-olds. And then the older kids, those that want to be veterinarians, come in every Saturday. It's called So You Want to Be a Veterinarian. And I teach them how to vaccinate and do all kinds of neat things. They can run the shelter on Saturdays. Come in and get vouchers from us. We're open Wednesday through Saturday. You all have to meet Toaster. She's a little beagle mix. We have some of our puppies. She is adorable. All of our Chiweenies just went. And Roger, oh my gosh, Roger, he is the cutest Chihuahua mix.
Kim, how do people contact you real quick? We've got a few seconds left. So how do people contact you real quick? 707-296-4629, cafanimals.org. Awesome. Thank you so much. That's all the time we have today. Thank you so much to our panel. We'll be back next week with another Thursday Night Talk. If you have topics or suggestions for the show, email us at kzzh@accesshumboldt.net. And just a reminder, the show replays on Fridays every evening at 8 p.m. right here on KZZH 96.7. Watch a show on YouTube as well. Just search Access Humboldt. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next week.